Have you ever felt like your brain is just completely overloaded, like you're drowning in decisions and your thoughts are racing a mile a minute and you just can't seem to find any clarity?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like a constant mental traffic jam.
Right. But what if the key to thinking more clearly and making better choices and feeling less stressed isn't about cramming in more information? What if it's about simplifying how we think?
I like where you're going with this.
That's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to unpack The Wisdom of Simple Thinking by Richard Gerver.
A great choice for a deep dive.
This book gives us practical tools to cut through the noise and unlock a more focused and effective way of approaching, well, everything.
Sounds like something we could all use a little bit of.
Ready to simplify things?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Welcome to this deep dive into Richard Gerver's Simple Thinking.
Now, this isn't about oversimplifying complex issues or coming up with, superficial solutions.
Right. It's not about dumbing things down at all.
It's about recognizing that clarity, adaptability, and a strong sense of purpose are the keys to getting more done with less mental clutter.
We've gone through a really detailed summary of the book and pulled out the most useful insights and practical strategies from Simple Thinking.
And we're excited to share those with you today.
Our mission is to equip you, the listener, with the tools you need to navigate the complexities of life with more ease and make real progress towards your goals.
Because who doesn't want a little less stress and a little more success?
Okay, so let's jump right into the heart of Simple Thinking.
It all starts with this idea that we tend to overcomplicate things, and that overcomplication becomes a major roadblock to action.
So true. It's like we get bogged down in the details and lose sight of the big picture.
Exactly. And Gerver argues that the most profound breakthroughs often come from stripping away those unnecessary layers and focusing on what truly matters.
So it's not about ignoring the complexities altogether, but about simplifying our approach to them.
Precisely. He has a great quote about this. Complexity is the enemy of action. Keep things simple, and you will always find a way forward.
I love that. Keep things simple, and you will always find a way forward.
Think about it. How many times have you felt stuck on a problem, not because you weren't smart enough to solve it, but because you were just overwhelmed by all the options or all the information?
All the time. It's like paralysis by analysis.
Exactly. Simple thinking aims to break us free from that paralysis.
Now, one thing that I find often leads to that kind of overcomplication is overthinking.
Oh, absolutely. We get caught in those mental loops, second-guessing ourselves, worrying about every possible outcome.
It's exhausting.
It really is.
Yeah.
And Gerver suggests that at the root of all that overthinking is fear and uncertainty.
Fear of making the wrong choice. Uncertainty about the future.
Right. We're so afraid of messing things up that we end up frozen, unable to make any decision at all.
And Simple Thinking offers some powerful ways to break free from that.
It encourages us to shift our focus to the core elements of a situation.
To identify the essential information and make decisions based on that.
Right. And to break down those big, overwhelming problems into smaller, more manageable steps.
That's a strategy I use all the time.
It's incredibly effective. By focusing on just one small action we can take right now, we not only reduce that feeling of being overwhelmed, but we also start building momentum.
And that momentum can really help to propel us forward.
It's like a snowball effect. Each small step builds on the last, and before you know it, you've made significant progress.
Now, something I often struggle with is that desire to make everything perfect from the get-go.
I think we all fall into that trap sometimes.
It's like, if it's not going to be perfect, why even bother starting?
Right. Know that feeling. But Gerver has a really insightful quote that addresses this directly. Perfection is an illusion. Progress is what truly matters.
So it's not about achieving some unattainable ideal, but about continuously moving forward, making improvements along the way.
Exactly. And Simple Thinking encourages us to embrace that iterative process, to start taking action and refine our approach as we go.
It's about accepting that we're going to make mistakes, and that's okay.
It's actually more than okay. It's essential, because those mistakes are valuable learning opportunities.
They help us to grow and improve.
And that brings us to another key aspect of Simple Thinking, which is its perspective on failure.
Instead of seeing it as something to be avoided at all costs, Gerver actually reframes it as a necessary part of the journey.
He encourages us to view setbacks not as reasons to quit, but as opportunities to learn and adjust our course.
So it's about developing that resilient mindset, seeing failure as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock.
Exactly, and that ties into the importance of being adaptable, especially in today's constantly changing world.
Things are moving so fast, we need to be able to adjust our plans and strategies on the fly.
And those who can simplify their approach to new challenges, learn from their experiences, both successes and failures, and pivot when necessary, are the ones who will thrive in this environment.
They're not weighed down by rigid plans or an unwillingness to change direction.
Their adaptability gives them a significant advantage.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about decision-making.
A constant challenge in our overstimulated world.
We're bombarded with choices every day.
From the mundane to the life-altering.
And it can be really overwhelming.
Simple thinking offers some really helpful strategies for navigating this often overwhelming landscape of decisions.
One of the key insights is that having more options doesn't necessarily lead to better decisions.
In fact, it can often lead to that analysis paralysis we were talking about earlier.
We get so caught up in weighing all the pros and cons that we end up making no decision at all.
So simple thinking advocates for simplifying our options, for intentionally narrowing down the choices to make the process more efficient and less stressful.
And how do we do that in a practical way?
Well, one key principle is prioritization. Gerver emphasizes that not all decisions are created equal.
Some have a much bigger impact on our lives than others.
Right, so it's about identifying those high-impact decisions and focusing our energy there.
And not getting bogged down in the minutia of less important choices.
Exactly. This is where the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle, comes in handy.
You know, I love the 80-20 rule. It applies to so many areas of life.
It really does. And in this context, it means focusing on the 20% of decisions that will yield the most significant results.
So those are the decisions that deserve our full attention.
While the remaining 80% of less critical choices can often be streamlined or even automated.
So it's about identifying those high-leverage decisions, the ones that will really move the needle.
Right. And in addition to that strategic prioritization, simple thinking also reminds us to trust our instincts.
Our gut feelings.
Sometimes that initial gut feeling, especially when it's informed by a clear understanding of the core issues, can be surprisingly accurate.
It's like our subconscious mind has already processed the information and come to a conclusion.
And overthinking can sometimes lead us further away from that optimal solution by introducing doubt and complexity.
It's like we talk ourselves out of a good decision.
Gerver has another great quote about this. The best decision is the one made with clarity, not confusion.
Clarity, not confusion. I love that.
It's about trusting that inner compass, that intuitive sense of what feels right.
Now let's talk about how this idea of simplicity applies to communication and even leadership.
Because clear communication is essential in every aspect of our lives.
Whether we're leading a team at work, navigating a relationship, or just trying to get our point across in a meeting.
And Gerver argues that effective communicators and leaders are masters of simplification.
They can take complex ideas and make them easily understandable.
They can cut through the jargon and the technicalities and articulate their message in a clear, concise, and compelling way.
So it's about getting straight to the essence of what we want to say.
And using language that everyone can understand.
Because the goal is to ensure that our message is received and understood.
And to avoid any misinterpretations or confusion.
Clear articulation is one part of effective communication, but there's another equally important element.
And that is active listening.
Really paying attention to what the other person is saying.
Trying to understand their perspective, even if we don't agree with it.
Because effective communication is a two-way street.
It's about creating a dialogue, a true exchange of ideas.
And simple communication, built on clarity and attentive listening, lays the foundation for that kind of meaningful interaction.
It helps to build stronger relationships, foster collaboration, and ultimately leads to more effective leadership, regardless of your formal position.
So let's take a moment to recap what we've learned today from Richard Gerver's Simple Thinking.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We talked about the power of clarity and overcoming overcomplication.
And the importance of taking action, embracing progress, and learning from our mistakes.
We explored strategies for streamlining decision-making, like prioritizing and trusting our instincts.
And we discussed the profound impact of clear and simple communication in all areas of our lives.
So the takeaway here is that adopting a simpler mindset isn't about being naive or ignoring the complexities of life.
It's about intentionally choosing to focus on what truly matters.
It's about shedding those unnecessary mental burdens that weigh us down and prevent us from moving forward.
By simplifying our thinking, we can reduce stress, achieve better results, and cultivate a greater sense of control in an increasingly complex world.
And now for you, our listener, I have a challenge for you. Think about one area of your life where you might be overcomplicating things.
Maybe it's a project at work, a relationship issue, or even just your daily to-do list.
And ask yourself, what's one small step you can take right now to simplify your approach?
Maybe it's breaking down a big task into smaller chunks, or making a decision you've been putting off by focusing on the essential factors.
Remember, progress, not perfection, is the goal.
And if you're intrigued by these ideas and want to delve deeper into the principles of simple thinking, we highly recommend grabbing a copy of Richard Gerver's book.
You'll find a link to it in the description below.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive into simple thinking and want to join us for more insightful explorations of valuable books, be sure to subscribe to Books and Bytes.
We have many more deep dives planned to help you unlock knowledge and navigate the complexities of our world.
Thanks for joining us on this journey towards simpler, more effective thinking.
Until next time.